you know what? I'll just say this. The grocery store gonna get mad at me if I complain about the carts not being returned.
Wait, what?
Like if I come on the podcast and complain about something or talk about something, am I supposed to talk about no people, places, or things while I'm here?
Honey, you've got a big storm coming.
Hello everyone, how are you today? I hope you're having a really good day so far. If you're new here, my name's Taylor. I come to you from Baltimore City, Maryland, and here on my YouTube channel, I feature content that is generally focused on knitting and spinning. In this week's episode of what I call the Thread to Mend podcast, I'm going to sit down and share with you the things that I've currently been working on. And I thought I would share with you some of my favorite content here on YouTube. I have been absent for several weeks now, much longer than I typically am, and that is for a few reasons. One is that it is hot. I think I mention that every week now. It's hot, it's humid, and I don't have central AC. So I can't just like sit comfortably here for an extended period of time without my window unit and several fans throughout the house. So I do have to shut off all of my cooling operations while I record my content here. And then the other is, I guess it's personal. And I hate that because I have created a space here online where I feel, at least, that I show up as my authentic self. And I don't feel that I'm capable of showing up here in this platform and being my authentic self and hiding all of the things going on in the background. I have issues with my family. Most of us do. I'm not here to garner sympathy, but I feel like I have so far established an audience here on this platform that is very caring and nurturing and loving and kind. And so I've been thinking about you all in the back of my mind, not even the back of my mind, almost the forefront of my mind in the last couple months, thinking about how could I or should I explain any of it to you, and what would you say in response to knowing the things going on, and just having had such a good amount of feedback from you all in the past, and so much kindness and caringness come through in the comments before has really kind of helped me walk through these steps in the present moment and be sort of prepared for the future. So I've been thinking a lot about you, even though I've not been here and I have not known or been able to show up. And so if you're watching this video now, thank you so much for being here. I hope I can create content that you do enjoy, and I don't want to harp on all of my personal familial dramas. And what I do plan to share are the things that bring me joy. So that's sort of what this platform's for, is for me to focus my attention on the good, happy, and productive elements of life that I can draw my attention to when possible. So that's what we're gonna do. You know, I did learn an interesting factoid. I don't have any evidence to back it up, but I had heard some educated person say recently that the areas of your brain that are firing when you experience pleasant emotions are very different areas of the brain than where you experience negative thought patterns and emotions. And I thought that was very interesting, and it makes a lot of sense because the people in my family who are struggling the most right now seem to not have any access to the happy pleasure centers in the brain. It's like all the attention, just the pathways are too direct to where things are negative. And I really do think that as human beings with beneficial coping mechanisms, we train ourselves to fire the happier portions of our brains, for lack of a better term. I'm not an expert. I'm just a human being trying to live a human experience here online, which God forbid. But anyway, I think about that a lot, and that's why I try to do things that bring me joy. And one of them has been knitting. even though I do find it incredibly boring lately. I don't know about you, but I find it boring to knit. I like want to fall asleep the second I start. Difficult to sit still when so many things are chaotic in life, you know, but it's a practice worth preaching about, apparently. So anyway, this is the Artus Shawl. I've made a ton of progress on the mosaic portion of this pattern, which has been so intuitive, so simple. I have tried to approach mosaic knitting maybe 1 or 2 times in the past at most, and I quickly kind of like abandoned the idea. It seemed complicated while looking at it in a book, but once you kind of decide this is what I'm doing now, and then you just follow the instructions line by line, it's really quite simple, and it gives this very subtle 3D effect that you don't get in colorwork knitting, like where you're working multiple strands in a row. It gives this kind of beveled look to the stitches that I did steam block this. I always steam block my knitting while I work it because it gives a little bit more of a finished appearance. It takes out all the wonkiness that you might find when you're working things. Like, for example, a lot of the times, you probably know this, but triangular shawls, there will always be some amount of wonkiness where you start the knitting, and this looked a lot wonkier in the middle here before I steam blocked it. But since steam blocking, it's a little bit more flat, and then I expect that when I finally wet block this, which I cannot wait to do, because I do expect for the fabric to grow just a little bit more and kind of loosen up and expand and become a little softer. I think ultimately with wear and adjustment, that fabric's just gonna look a little wonky all of the time. Either way, I tend to roll the top portion of my triangular shawls in a little bit at the top when they're worn, because it just gives a little bit, it's just more easy to wear. So I find that happens anyway, and it does obscure the wonkiness. But I put this on a connector. This is another little knitting secret of mine. If you haven't watched my channel for a while, you might not know about these, or maybe you do and you didn't need me to tell you, but underneath all my stitches here is a little metal connector, and I've joined 2 circular cables. I have like a 40-inch cable and then like a 60-inch cable, and by connecting the 2 I can extend the entire perimeter of my shawl and kind of give you more of a shawly look to my current work in progress. So you can see the back is kind of pleasing to look at. Hello, star baby moonchild. She has been such a good girl lately. We did just go on our annual vacation. We visit a cabin off-grid in coastal Maine, and we discovered it on our honeymoon back in 2016, and we have revisited this cabin every year for like 9 years, and it was so great. It was the best getaway, and I'm so lucky that I have the opportunity to do that, and it's something we prioritize in life. We take that time to reground and reconnect, and it is so nice to spend your life with someone who loves you. I have that thought on the forefront of my mind because of my familial dramas. One thing that I've learned in recent months is that you should not take for granted the people that truly love you and care for you and show you through their actions, because sometimes that's all you got, and forget the rest. Moving on, I have I put a hand cream on that Star Baby has enjoyed licking off my knuckles. I have started a notepad and begun listing 5 videos that I thought you might enjoy. If you like watching my channel here, you might enjoy some of the content that I enjoy here online. I have 5 videos here that I have linked in my notepad I'm going to reference and tell you a little bit about, because these are some of my favorite content creators here on YouTube right now, none of them are knitting related, unfortunately. So if you're only here for the knitting and that's it, then farewell, Auf Wiedersehen, goodbye. But I have some skincare and cosmetic channel recommendations for you. One of which, and you've probably found his channel already because he has over 1.5 million subscribers, but it is James Welsh. He has these really he has these really interesting kind of in-depth videos about skincare related companies or controversies. And he did one recently about the Mystery of La Mer, which I thought was fascinating and really good storytelling. I like that it was in little chapters. Robert Welsh he has a twin brother, James Welsh. Robert and James, they're twins. They have different channels. One is cosmetics focused. I don't watch it quite as much. And I think it is James who does the skincare content that I do enjoy. And one thing I like about James is that he's very forward in the title of his videos and the intro of his videos when they are sponsored. So you know at the forefront whether the content is, has that sort of incentive behind it, which I feel like not a lot of people online do, and you never really know what is a genuine recommendation and like an honest and earnest, push towards a brand versus not. So that's one thing I really like about James, and I feel like he's been very consistent in being transparent that way. The second video is one by a content creator I have not watched a lot of content from. She seems like a kind of Gen Z, maybe even Alpha. I don't know her age. I don't know anything about her. But she uploaded a video recently that I watched called How I Shop for Non-Essentials. And it essentially put into words everything I had been thinking over the last few months in regards to budgeting and when to decide what to buy, because a lot of you gave me a lot of positive feedback about my budgeting video I posted recently. I will say that I've been successful finally in sticking to my budget the last month and a half. I would say I've actually dialed it in 100% and I'm on track to saving for retirement, which I had never really focused on in the past. I was consuming a lot more than I probably should have in order to retire one day in comfort. So that's something I've really had to practice adjusting my behavior regarding. And she totally echoed everything I've been thinking and basically said everything I've been wanting to say, but she's a lot more eloquent than I am. I'll link her video below. Again, it's called How I Shop for Non-Essentials. I enjoyed this video. I'm sure she has a lot of other interesting content. It seems like a lot of it is focused on de-influencing, which I find helpful, especially when living within a budget. Another is a smaller content creator who I've been watching for quite a while. And I mostly watch her content, I shouldn't even say watch, I listen to her content when I want to fall asleep at night. A lot of the times I just can't fall asleep without listening to something. So I will plug my phone in to charge overnight and I will put it to the very lowest volume and turn on a video, tuck it under my ear, and I fall asleep almost instantly. And within 10 to 20 minutes, that video ends and then my phone is off and I just sleep through the night in silence. But a lot of the times I find putting on a video helps me just kind of drown out whatever thoughts might still be lingering in the forefront of my mind. And one of the channels that I find the most ease falling asleep to, I don't know if it's a compliment or not, but it's called Simply Blair. Her name is Blair. I'm gonna link below a video called Everyday Makeup Drawer and Get Ready With Me. And that's a lot of the content she uploads. She collects new releases, does short first impressions and reviews of new releases in the cosmetic industry, but she also, with her kind of library of cosmetics, she does videos where she shops her stash and she pulls out products that aren't necessarily brand new, but she has in her collection, and she'll tell you a little bit about them, like, oh, I like this because of that, or I'm not going to choose that because of this reason. So you can decide if it's something you want to invest your time and money into. So it's kind of like a way for me to fall asleep, but it's also a way for me to research products on the market, especially the ones that are not new, because that's something I found a little annoying with the makeup YouTube kind of program, is like everyone is featuring new, and when you're on a budget, like you can't afford a new thing all the time. And if you are shopping for something, you want it to be the one thing that does it all. And that product might have been made 3 years ago and still be out on the market, and you wouldn't know anything about it because every content creator is only focusing on new products coming out. So I really love Simply Blair's content because she does draw attention to good quality products that aren't brand new, but worth investing in. And she has, let me see, she has 19,000 subscribers now, which is awesome. And if you do check it out, I would highly recommend subscribing to her channel because she just has this like calm and cool and collected kind of tone and voice online that I just feel like is genuine and kind, and just I really like exploring new products on the market without having to buy them. So she's a person I listen to a lot online. The other two are the same but different. So one is Kelly Driscoll, and she just uploaded a video recently called 5 Ways You're Overcomplicating Skincare. This was the first video I added to my list to share with you. So it was a few days ago that I watched this, and I can't remember the exact content that she shared in this video, so it is worth watching. I can't tell you anything about it because I forget already. But one thing that Kelly Driscoll does is she focuses a lot on Korean skincare and various like active ingredients that are common in Korean skincare. She talks about Korean sunscreens and compares this versus that. And so it's another one of those channels where I gain my encyclopedic knowledge about different formulations or products on the market. But I do feel like I learn a lot from her and her experience. It was an interesting video that came across my feed, and I thought I would give her channel a shout out. And the last has been my most favorite new to me YouTube channel. It's called Chemist Confessions, and they have a rather small following for what they do. I think they have really good quality content. Oh my god, right now they have, maybe they have their podcast on other platforms, but right now they have only 6.1 thousand subscribers, which is strange to me because they have some of the best, I think, skincare content here on YouTube. It's 2 women. I think that they're both chemists based on the conversations they share. In fact, that's the first sentence to their bio: 2 skincare chemists navigating the confusing world of skincare. And they are so cheerful and pleasant to listen to. And they do a lot of active, focused videos. So they'll have a video about azelaic acid or vitamin C serums or ceramides or hyaluronic acid. And if you've ever wanted to know like actual research, like what the data says about this or that, this is a podcast where you're going to find that information. And a lot of the times there's no information. And I love that somebody is finally telling you that, because most of the time when you hear a data point about one product or another, that research was funded by the company selling you the product, and there's details to that data collection that they intentionally leave out, like potentially really low participant numbers and things like that. So they really dive deep into the science, and on top of it, they don't do a lot of sponsored videos, but interestingly, they formulate their own product lines. They have an entire skincare line that they offer like some like little brief commercial things about, which they're not like really pushy with, but I think it's really interesting that they are chemists creating the products that are sold to you on YouTube. A lot of the times it's a dermatologist, which is great. I would rather a dermatologist sign off on a skincare product than, you know, just your average financier. But I think it's really interesting when it's a chemist who understands these properties as well as maybe even better than a dermatologist. I'm sure they take dermatology into account, but it's fascinating to me that they understand the actual chemistry of it all and the formulations and whatnot. And that's really like what I had prepared to talk about this week. I've been spending a ton of time keeping up with our home. I've completely rearranged our sunroom. I basically pulled everything out and we repotted a couple things. We topped everything off with some soil as it's kind of settled, you know, cleaned all the shelves off, rearranged the furniture a tiny bit, and I'm really happy with the results of that. I've also been working in the garden a little bit. Everything feels dead. It's hard to keep the grass alive when I don't water it It's hard to keep the grass alive. I don't water it on a regular basis. We don't have sprinklers or anything like that. So everything feels fried outside. It has been so hot lately and a little dry with like threats of thunderstorms, but no rain. And it's a lot to keep up with. I did bring home a bunch of plants from our vacation. We visited 3 separate nurseries while in Maine, and there's 2 more I still haven't even gone to. We're planning to visit next year. But one of the 3 that we visit every year we go actually was going out of business. Everything was half off. The Biotone from Espelma was only $5 a bag for 3 pounds. So I guess I brought home 9 pounds of fertilizer. Anyway, an odd souvenir from a annual vacation. But I did bring home a few things and got them planted. And I'm trying to keep everything alive, which has been difficult. I bought a couple packs of marigolds that I never even got into the ground, and they're most certainly dead now. These are my dead marigolds I mentioned. Utter failure. Looks like I got a strawberry on the plant I brought home, and I bought a pack of these, and then I propagated them. So these are my little propagation plants. This heuchera is toast. I'm actually going to split this up into multiple plants to put out into that area because they seem to do better over there than over here. I am going to cut down and fully remove the climbing rose that I've had growing on the arbor. It's just not something that I feel like I need anymore. I thought I wanted a rose, but I forgot how messy they can be with all of the petals falling constantly. And a bunch of bugs are eating at it. It just doesn't even look good. So I figured I would rather have cucumbers and beans growing over that trellis in the summer and the fall. Maybe even a tomato if I can sneak one in there. So I've given up on the rose. I'm gonna cut it down. It was a $10 Home Depot impulse buy, so I don't feel bad about it. This is that rose bush I talked about removing. All of the leaves have pretty much been eaten, and I pruned it in an odd fashion. I don't know if that was appropriate or not, so I'm just gonna take it out. It's not really bringing me joy, but I did pick up this little corner does get a fair amount of sun, and I picked up this hardy little tomato plant. I planted it like all the way over here because it had kind of fallen over and gotten crooked anyway. So it's probably putting a little bit more into growing a healthy root system than more of a vertical growth. So I expect it'll be kind of a late summer, early fall cherry tomato plant for us here. There's some cleanup I need to do, and I think I'm gonna take out a clump of this sweet woodruff and plant it into the neighbor's yard where they have some shade. The bleeding hearts could probably go. I think they're ready to just cut all the way back and compost. My beans are really taking off, which I'm excited to see. And I have a few cucumbers. We've been eating some of the cucumbers, but this is where the spotted lanternfly likes to congregate. And I pull my vacuum out about once a week, and I vacuum as many of them as I can up to try to curb their proliferation. Anyway, this one blueberry plant did the best this season, but the birds got to all the berries. I think next year I'm gonna have to cover it if I want to get to any of them. And you'll see that my angelica is not thriving any longer. It is not the right space, I think, for that plant. Or maybe I just should have watered it more, which is probably more likely. I don't know if it needed more shade or more water, but it's safe to say everything here needed more water than it's gotten. Orange tabby is having a little nap among the raspberries, which I need to just fix a tiny bit. And I do have a random strawberry plant amongst them. I'm going to build some planter boxes for the concrete area where I hope I can better grow more strawberries. The black raspberries are chaos, and the trees have so much like low growth right now that it's kind of hard to even get to that space in the garden. I think once the trees are a certain height, I think in the fall, I'm gonna trim back a few branches just to make walking through the garden a little easier. My blackberry relocation efforts were completely unsuccessful. I shouldn't say completely, because I do have some tiny growth over here, but it's not likely that this is gonna do anything. Maybe that branch over there is going to take off, but I might as well just cut this back and start over in the fall. And you can see my compost bin is full. It's just below ideal temperature, so it's a great time to turn. And just below this paper layer here is where I have, I think, some good compost towards the center. The outer perimeter is always a little undone, but I know I have some good stuff in there. I have a hosta in that back corner where I actually do get some direct sun. You can probably see that it's a little fried. I'm actually gonna move that out and put it in the neighbor's yard. Looks like I have some sun golds I can harvest from the garden, which is exciting. I kind of didn't anticipate that. And some of these black raspberries, I think I might direct in the other direction, towards the other ones there. It's kind of like how they spread, is they touch down and reroot, and that's why I have kind of two areas, but I think I'm gonna redirect them into this kind of like 6 to 7 foot span instead of into those tomatoes. So I really need to apply some bug spray and get out here, give everything a little bit of a soak. I was expecting rain that we never got, and there's still some cleanup that I really need to get to. I have to cut back these stinging nettles before they go to seed. You can see I have a ton of little jalapenos, and one of them is like turning red, which is how Brian likes to pick them. Sweet little rose. This is a butterfly bush that I bought while on vacation. I was hoping I might be able to collect some seed from it. I don't know what the seed looks like what parts of it are the seed. So I kind of have to wait and find out. Although if you have any recommendations for whether I should cut it back now or later, I would love to know your thoughts about this plant. When we came home from vacation, this echinacea was completely fried. I should deadhead it for sure today, which I'll get to. And then I did buy a ton of herbs. This thyme is actually doing really well. The tarragon is holding on. My chives need some water. And this, what is this? Pineapple sage? It's getting destroyed. Somebody really likes the pineapple sage around here. And the dill, I think it's just too hot for. So that's my little herb planter. I would love to kind of provide them more space, more water, more nutrients for them to take off and be stronger plants, but I kind of just worked with what I had at the moment when we came home. I did take this boxwood out of the front yard where it was not doing well, and I put it into a container. I never trimmed it last fall or winter when I should have. It wasn't really looking good, and I was afraid I would kill it if I did. So I kind of just gave it some time, and I moved it out here where it gets more sun and it's kind of monitored a little bit better. I don't really water the front garden as much as the backyard, so I'm trying to just keep this alive until it's an appropriate time to trim back. I have a lot to do out here, and the weekends are never long enough. But yeah, that's our garden tour this week. Thank you so much for watching this week's episode. If you want to find me on social media, my name is Taylor E. Owen on Ravelry and Instagram. You can find me over on TikTok as Taylor Knits. Again, I want to thank you so much for being here. If you made it this far into this week's video, let me know below with, I don't know, let's do like, what emoji should we do? I can't even think right now. I guess we'll do a plant emoji, because plants, right? Plants? I don't know. That's it for this week's video. Thanks again. I hope you all have a wonderful day, a wonderful week, and that you take care.